Hello YouTube, this is Liberating Pulse again, here with another tutorial, this time on how to make a super cheesy rave synth that is just basically epic cheese, or something like that. Yeah, well, I'll play you what I've made, and I'll show you how to get similar results. Here you go. Alright, well the sound that we're aiming for is going to sound like this. Alright, so to get that sound, I'll start out by creating a new synthesizer. So plus right here, new software instrument, and then down here in the I/O you choose ES2, stereo, and you'll be brought up with this preset which just sounds icky. So what you do is you'll have to choose the complete reset patch. I have a download link for that in the info box. You guys can grab that and use that in here so that you don't have to try to reset everything back to normal, or yeah, what it should be. But anyway, go down to complete reset and it leaves me with just one pulse wave here. So to start, I choose all the oscillators, and so I'll go down here. Now what I did was I started out by choosing let's see, the mean one, because it gave me a nice high-pitched sound that I liked. And that was a neat sound that I thought would add to it. And then I also wanted it to have some more high-pitched stuff, so I pitched this up an octave, and then I added 2 pulse waves, except I made the bandwidth really thin so they have a really buzzy sound. So I'll play that. Okay, so something around there, and then I made another one of those with about the same bandwidth, and then I detuned them about 25 cents in either direction. So 25 this way, minus 25 this way. Right now you have a pretty good start with that. So I'll have to mix them together here. Right now it sounds very dull and boring, but it will get better, okay? You just watch. Next, I have the filter cut off, and so I'll change it to parallel because I like how it looks better than the series way. It really doesn't make a difference in this case, but what I'll do is I'll set the cutoff to the minimum, and I'll target that cutoff using envelope 2. So go target, cutoff 2, and have it via envelope 2. So that's already set there, and you want it to be up at the maximum. Now what this does is it clamps down on the signal so that it has a plucky sound. So at the beginning I had where it was sort of plucky, like this. So to get that plucky sound you have to have the filter controlled by the envelope 2. Now right now if I tried to play my synthesizer it would not give me any sound at all, or just little clicks. Yeah. So what I have to do is I have to make it so that the filter opens up all the way for a little bit. So to do that, I will first set this to 0, the release to, well, I can set it to that. And then I changed the decay to give it a longer pluck sound. So as I raise this, I'll start playing it. So that sounds about right there for me. So if I play, well, I want to make it polyphonic because I'm going to be playing chords. So click poly right here. Want to do that, and set the voices to as many as you can because you'll be needing that in the future. So here, now I'll play a chord. Now that sort of has a plucky sound, but also I have it so that the filter comes off of it so that it's open all the way and it has a much fuller sound, less pluck. So I'll play a little bit of that right there for you guys. So to get that sound of the filter being open all the way, I'm going to assign the cutoff also to my mod wheel here. So mod wheel, if you have a mod wheel on your keyboard, do this, and So what you do is you bring this up to the maximum as well. So when you move your mod wheel up, then the filter will open up. So you can see in this right here, if I go to the modulation, you'll see I have my modulation automation that I drew in there. So I didn't even use the mod wheel on my keyboard. So next, okay, we have our synthesizer here, and it doesn't sound very good at this point. I'll play it. Pretty weak, but to make it sound a bit fuller, I'm going to add unison and some analog to it. So click unison right here. It instantly sounds better. And then you can turn up the analog now, and what this does is it detunes things a bit and changes the pitches of these oscillators that are now multiplied in unison so that it sounds even fuller. You can change this up as high or low as you want it to be. But I found that that works pretty well for what I was doing. So I'm going to close the synthesizer. And now I'm going to go into my plugins. Now the first plugin I applied here was an EQ. I applied a single band EQ, a high pass filter, so that way I can get rid of some of the lower frequencies, which I don't need in this rave sound. So that works pretty well for me. It gets out some of the stuff I don't need on the bottom end. And next I'll add a delay, a stereo delay here. And I found that with the pattern that I had playing, that the dual 1/8 note preset actually worked really well. I just had to tweak it a little bit. I turned off the crossfade, but now I'll play it. It's already sounding cheesier, which is good, just what we were looking for. And so on top of all this, you're going to have to play the chords multiple times, because when you have the ES2 set to be polyphonic, you can't have as many voices in the unison. You can only have, I think it adds another voice to it on unison. When you have it in monophonic, you can have a gajillion voices on just one note, but polyphonic you're stuck with just two or four, I don't know how many it is. So what I did to remedy this was I made my chords giant, so I'll show you that. Here we go. Each chord is actually the chord played on 3 different octaves, so I get this sound. So now let's see if I move what I have up here onto my new synthesizer. We'll just take a look and see how it sounds. Well, yeah, something like that. Alright, that's great. It's sounding very much like my other one that I had finished. So that's a success there, but right now it's very loud, so I'm going to have to turn it down a couple decibels so that it doesn't clip. Yeah, it sounds nearly like the other synthesizer, so that's great. The next important thing I need to add is side chaining, because right here I have it pumping with the kick on this part, so I'll mute my new synthesizer and play it. Now this is because the compressor I have here is being sidechained by the kick drum, so every time the kick hits, the volume of the synth goes down. So I'll play it so that you can see what's going on. Right here we have the gain reduction showing that every time the kick hits, the gain reduction goes up. So the volume is being lowered and going back up again with that. But we don't have that with our new synthesizer, so to fix that, we'll go in here and go into the dynamic section, add a compressor. Now when you have a drum set, here I'll go to my mixer, and if you have a drum set set up, if I can find it, okay, I have my kick, it's on its own channel here, But what I have it doing is I have it sending out to bus 2. Now bus 2, usually it makes an auxiliary bus, but what I had to do is I had to manually click on it, press delete, and choose to delete it anyway. And so that makes it so that it doesn't play the kick twice for some reason. But then you bring the volume of this up to 0, and there you go, your kick's ready to sidechain into things. So to make it have that good sidechainy sound, you'll want to, let's see, go to sidechain, choose bus 2 or whichever bus your kick is being sent to, and I'll lower the attack and release to 0 and make it peak so that it instantly attacks the synthesizer. Let's see here, I'll first solo my vocals, then I'll solo the synthesizer that we just made and the kick, so then you can hear what's going on here. Not much is happening right now, so what I'll do is I'll turn the ratio up to the maximum and bring the threshold down so that it grabs it more quickly, and then I'll just adjust it until it sounds like what I want it to. Alright, so where I have it is sufficiently cheesy. Oh yeah, and you'll want to take this gain off of it. You don't want the automatic gain because it's already loud enough as is. I believe that's all you need to do for this. And so once you're done, you can add some reverb to it, so I can send it out to my reverb bus here. Oh, that's not my reverb bus. Here. I have it right here, but you can add your own reverb to it to give it just a little more space. So from this point, you can just take it, you can EQ it. What I did is I usually boost the highs on these a bit so that it has a bit of a sharper sound. I mean, if you like sharp cheddar. And so after that is done, then ta-da, you have your very own cheesy rave synth. Ta-da!